Sauce.
Hey, you like Pez?
It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these. From the boundary line!
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host, Pez. I'm here with Sauce and we're in the bye rounds. One more to go. We've only got 5 games of footy this weekend. Round 14 upon us, Sauce.
Yeah, hey guys, an amazing round of football that's just passed us. We're on to the bye rounds, and you know, bye rounds normally give us less footy, which means less excitement, but not this round, Pez. We had, for the first time in AFL history, the bottom 4 teams all had wins. First time in AFL history.
You're kidding?
No. 15, 16, 17, 18, all had wins. No one would have picked it. We definitely didn't pick it. But an amazing round of football, Pez. But that wasn't even the biggest talking point of the round.
There was lots of things going on in that round. Suspensions, things that were dividing the footy world this week, especially with David McKay on Hunter Clark incident, Hunter Clark breaking his jaw. David McKay, it's just a collision. He didn't mean to bump. He braced for contact and things like that. So he's just got off what we've just seen on the tribunal. So he is cleared to play. So that I think a split in the media around 50-50 of agreements and disagreements there.
And I think what made it really difficult is the match review panel sent it straight to the tribunal, and they didn't even have an actual grade for it. They didn't grade it careless or reckless. They had no impact. No, sorry, not impact, but no preconceived idea about the conduct, the impact, and the contact, and they just went the old handball. You know, the Tom Mitchell straight to the tribunal.
I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it. I do not want to be a part of this play or scoring opportunity. Tom Mitchell dig there, but let you guys handle it. And pretty divided, Pez, because he did, you know, as you mentioned, Hunter Clark was left with multiple fractures to his jaw. He was unable to take part in the rest of the game. It was pretty impactful for the remainder of the game. Obviously, the big comeback, which we'll get to later on in the show. But interested to hear your thoughts, Pez. Should he have got off, or of what we've seen this year, he should have been pinged, because it was pretty. I mean, the impact had to be pretty decent because he's broken his jaw. Yeah,
as always, there's a couple of ways to look at it here, and one of the ways is the head is sacrosanct and you can't do anything to the head. In my view, David McKay didn't mean to collide with him. He's gone after the footy. Some people would argue that his feet were off the ground and he has braced for contact, but you've got to be able to brace to defend yourself. There's milliseconds of time to decide what you do. Now, if I'm watching the footy and I see, David McKay, he's going in for that contest and he pulls out, the ridicule that he's going to cop on social media, everything, it's going to be ludicrous. So with the result today, because he got off, there's still going to be collisions like that, and there's going to be freak accidents where people get really hurt. But if he didn't get off and he got suspended, you would have had to coach all players on how to go for the footy.
I don't know if that's the right assessment there, Pez, in terms of, you know, like he would have been ridiculed for the hit, and if that's the reason that, you know, he's been let off because to keep a tough sort of contest alive, then to me that's not right. I sort of tend to agree with you. I don't think he meant to at all. He was, you know, going down for the ball, but in that situation, I don't know whether he has elected to bump or not, but he has bumped and he has made head-high contact, and as you said, sacrilege, and I don't know if I agree with it, but, you know, from the precedent they've set there, it had to be high impact. The contact was high. So, you know, it was high contact. I don't know if, you know, probably wouldn't be classed as reckless, but it couldn't be classed as intentional. I think he has to get a week for that one, and just in my own regards, on what we've seen already as a precedent from the AFL Tribunal.
The precedent is the big issue here. The precedent is a massive issue where players have had less contact with heads, and people have been concussed, and because they've been concussed, they've copped a week or copped a 2-week ban. So that's been ridiculous leading up to it. So they've taken everything else out the window and said, what are we doing? Are we going to protect footy, or are we going to turn it into a non-contact sport? A little bit like basketball with a little bit of contact here. We'll call the free kicks when someone touches someone else. We'll play touch footy. I don't know what's going to happen.
I just think it's a bit rough, changing a rule and changing something mid-season, which the AFL are famous for doing, changing adjusting the rules mid-season.
They get off on it.
But they get off on it, just like David McKay. But to me, it's something that, yes, the rule is wrong, but how can you compare? It's going to throw a spanner in the works for the rest of the year with all these contact issues. And once again, the players are going to be left. I don't know what to do when it's going for a 50-50 pill. I don't think this saves football at all. I think what should have happened is they should have graded it from the beginning. They could have gone through and they could have thrown out certain charges, but one, the AFL world doesn't know how they've gone in to defend it. Two, they don't know what they were defending. Like they've gone in there saying that it was reckless. Well, they didn't even say that. They said that, that was just I don't know what they said, Pez. They said that he was unable. He should have made a better choice. But like, how do AFL players approach this going forward?
Well, that's the thing. He got off, so how do they approach it? They continue. He got off, so he's done nothing wrong. So
but next week in the same situation, someone's liable to go for because exact same thing, and they're going to get 2 or 3 weeks because this has thrown the precedent all out now. And like, that's what I mean is you can't have a change of a rule mid-season on what they've done this year and on what they've said. And they've said, we're in round 14. The head must be protected. We're going to take into consideration injuries. Now, concussion versus a broken jaw, doesn't matter what it is. The guy's missing weeks.
Yeah, but he didn't bump. He didn't elect the bump.
But you can't tell who's elected to bump. He's made contact with his shoulder.
They've told it. They've said it.
But he's turned his body. So he has elected to bump.
He hasn't. He's only braced. He's left the ground. He's braced because Hunter went low.
But he's left. But you don't brace yourself, leave the ground.
That's the action he did in the film.
Do you see how many holes are in this story? Like I just don't like that the AFL sent it straight to the tribunal and didn't. The old Tom Mitchell handball. I don't take any responsibility of this pill. It's all yours.
It was nearly a flip a coin deal because everyone in the media, they were split. And I don't know if it was for ratings and they're trying to just disagree with each other to create content or whatever it is. But they're going, one's really strong, he has to get off, and one's really strong, he has to get 3 weeks. He has to get 4 weeks. I have to take this out of the business.
Because I'm with you, Pez. I actually don't think that he should get weeks. I think that he should have got off. But to me, I just don't know where it puts our game. It puts our game in a disarray a little bit because on the precedent that they've built up and they've raved on all year about, they've literally moved the goalpost halfway through the season. Now, they're like, if you look, if Patrick Dangerfield's won earlier in the year or Ollie Wines the night before had been done after this, are the results different? Are the results changed? Like, it just, to me, I don't know how you can move the goalpost mid-season.
No, they're going to back it up because Dangerfield's incident, he chose to bump earlier in the season. He chose to bump. But
there's the same thing. He used the same argument that he braced himself, right? So he said he braced himself. McKay said he braced himself. They're calling one person a liar.
No, well, Dangerfield, you could see when he's gone in, he's actually gone to the bump thing and then he's said he's braced himself, but he's actually bumped in that scenario.
Yeah, I just don't agree with the argument of him bracing himself this time. I think he's elected to bump.
Well, I see it was either flip a coin, do whatever you need to do, but there's still going to be that grey area around it. I do not know how they fix it. They got to protect the head. Do they put the Caleb Daniel rule in maybe? I don't know.
Well, everyone wears a helmet.
Everyone wears a helmet.
Or just everyone learns how to kick the footy. It becomes an elite kick.
Elite kicks it and there's no contest because the ball doesn't touch the floor. Yeah, wear a helmet. Make some junior clubs have done that, and every junior has to wear a helmet. So if you're going to do that, you want to protect the head like that. Do that. Like Paddy McCartan, how many concussions did he have? He came back with a helmet, and then as soon as he could, he just took the helmet off. He should have just kept it on.
But so what? For this, because this one's not a concussion, the penalty, like the rules change. Like that's just what it is, because they've been penalising the result all year, not the action. Because they're saying, like a couple of the ones, they're like, he didn't mean to do it. It has been low impact, or this. And now because it's not a concussion, they've changed the rules because it's just a broken jaw.
That's because he didn't elect the bump.
He'd be eating out of a straw for a week.
Probably
longer.
He didn't elect the bump. That's what it comes down to, Sauce. So if he had elected to bump and the jaw was broken and everything, it would have been a worse penalty than the others. But because all the other players previously had chosen to make contact using a bump and the head had accidentally hit the shoulder or had a bit of whiplash and got concussed, that's because of the choice to choose to bump, where David McKay was choosing to go for the footy.
He still turned his body, though. You can still go for the footy like this. 2 hands down. I realise it's a podcast and I've just done the example there, but I don't know, Pez. We're not going to agree on this one, I don't think. But let's turn to one thing that we can agree, though, Pez. Friday night, one of the games of the season, an absolute shootout. Port Adelaide taking on my Cats, and the Cats, in a pretty impressive performance in that fourth quarter, come out victors by 21 points.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy Cameron. I guess it was, because he put him on his back and pretty much took him. They were dominating in the midfield there. Port Adelaide, how do you really go about them? Haven't beaten anyone really this season. All the top contenders, They just get done. They get pantsed. They were in the game. They were leading in that second quarter, Source. They came back and took the lead. They were leading by about 10 points at the start of that fourth quarter, and then Geelong just went bang, comfortable 21-point win, and where to go to from here for Port Adelaide. They stay 5th on the ladder. They've got to get a top 4 position. We were talking about definitely top 2, but they've lost against who? They've lost against Geelong,
Brisbane,
the Bulldogs, Brisbane. So 3 teams above them. They're not going too well,
and 2 of them in Port Adelaide, which is is critical for them, because you can sort of excuse if they came down to Geelong and they lost by 21 points, or if they went when they went up to Brisbane they got pantsed up in Brisbane. But it's one of those things where you're playing at your home ground.
You've got to protect your home ground.
You've got to protect your home ground, and it was good to see that the Port Adelaide forwards were firing. Charlie Dixon had 4, and Connor Rozee had 4 in the first quarter. And they ended up with 5 for the game, but it's their midfield, Pez. Like, their midfield has got to be better. They've got to be better at protecting the ball and implementing a game plan that allows them to put their, they've got an amazing forward line. They've got so many different scoring weapons there. They've got Georgialis, you've got Fantasia when he's up and running, you got old mate Todd Marshall. You've got so many opportunities to score. They've got to get better delivery into that forward line, and they're just not doing it.
Do you think it's the midfield was the issue? I've got a big issue with Port Adelaide and what their issue was. Tom Hawkins, he kicked 4 goals for. The commentators, as I spoke to you about, Source, they were going on about Mackenzie towed up Hawkins last time. Remember when he kicked 0-5 that day? He kicked 4-4 on him this time. Why is he playing on a big key forward like that? Geelong's big key forwards, they kicked 9 goals between them, 9 goals for 4. And that just can't happen. Alia, why doesn't he go to him? I know he's a good intercept defender and he's one of the best intercept marks in the competition, but he needed a bigger body on Tom Hawkins to try and contain him and do something. Trent McKenzie, he's not a key defender.
No, he's not, but I do think it is the midfield of their Pez, because as you said, like, they're not getting the intercept marks, they're not putting the contest there, but if they stop the ball from getting down there to begin with, it probably doesn't happen. They don't have to worry about, who's playing on Hawkins, because the ball is being controlled by their midfield. You
can say that in any game.
But they had 15 more turnovers through the midfield. Their forward entries, they had 9 marks. We just looked at the lineup I just told in that forward line. They had 9 marks inside their 50. That just can't happen in this day and age where we're seeing big forwards, and they've got 3 big forwards in there. 2 of them in Todd Marshall, Dixon, and you've got also Landon's go down there. You've got who's the other guy? Todd Marshall. He's a pretty big boy. Like, they can't have 9 marks for a game of footy inside their 50 and expect to be with the best teams in the league. They've got just as a damaging forward line as Brisbane. And Brisbane have worked it out, flicked the switch. They've upped their input into the 50 with Joe Danaher there, and they're getting results. It's not good enough for me from them. I do blame their midfield, Pez.
Oh, you can blame your midfield all you want. You can blame any team's midfield in a loss because, you say if the ball didn't go down the other end. But the reality is the ball did go down the other end and they didn't have the cattle there to be able to defend it. So if you've got a Trent McKenzie on a Tom Hawkins, Geelong are going to be licking their lips all day. Like, if you've got an actual key defender, like player that doesn't play, but if a Stephen May type is playing against Tom Hawkins, like what he did to him at the MCG, it's going to be near on a different result. That's how big that issue was for Port Adelaide.
Yeah, it was definitely. Well, we definitely saw that last year as well, Pez. In a couple of their losses that they when they do lose, that their defense doesn't stand up against those teams, and they can't expect to be piling on 9 goals in your forward line and not stopping the others. So, yeah, interesting game of football. Speaking of interesting games of football, Pez, the first of many upsets to come for the rounds, the Hawthorn Hawks got a nice 38-point win over Sydney.
Wasn't this an absolute shock? Like, no one's picking this in Sydney. I don't even know what to say about this game because Hawthorn just went straight from the start and were going great guns against Sydney. They were beating them everywhere. They had more disposals. They had 9 more inside 50s, which was great for a Hawthorn side who haven't been going inside 50 more than their opponent this year at all. They had 5 more centre clearances, which was against that Sydney midfield who have been, had a really, really good start in the first half of the year. That's really good there. So not too many goal kickers. No one kicked more than 2 goals. It was spread around. Phillips had 2 goals. Bruce had 2 goals. Moore had 2 goals. Kazitsky had 2 goals as well. So they've got a big spread of goal kickers. They were running the ball inside 50. They were spotting targets, and it just looked like Sydney Well, they definitely gave up in that second half, but it looked like in that first 2 quarters when the game's on the line, you kept thinking, Sauce, Sydney are going to turn this around and come back firing because they're a finals team. They didn't do it.
No, you're right, Pez. They definitely had that sort of vibe to them where they sort of gave up. But I think one of the things that contributed to that was and it's not something that we talk a lot on behind the boundary, Pez, but it was the umpiring. And one thing when we do talk about umpiring is umpiring in situations that affect or directly result in the goals. The free kick count was 26-10, which is a huge discrepancy. But the league average is 19 free kicks per game, so they were 9 short of that, and they were 7. What's that? 6 clear over the top. But the main one was in that fourth quarter when they were sort of they were in that game. They had the arm wrestle. There were 2 or 3 free kicks in that forward line where just shepherding off the ball. Buddy Franklin, who normally is pretty protected by the umpires, was blatantly being held and tackled to the floor, and they just weren't able to get into the game because there was a very frustrated Sydney that every time that they got into a good scoring opportunity, they were able to just be manhandled, and it was very, very frustrating from someone who was watching the game, wanting Sydney to go in and come back, having that those impact the game.
Who was the umpire?
I couldn't care less, Pez.
You don't know who the umpire was?
No, do you know who it was?
Razor Ray didn't have anything to do with it.
Was that him? Was it
Razor Ray? Involved in a few of those controversial calls. He pisses me off actually. This umpire, because no one in their right mind should know the name of an umpire that umpires the game. You watch the NBA, you don't know any umpires. You watch NBL, whatever you watch, you don't know who the umpire is, and you shouldn't know who the umpire is. He tries to make it all about him. He pissed me off in the big freeze, which
that's why he had that's why he had to perform this week. That's why he had to have be talked about with all those controversies, so he could get his name up in the big freeze.
We'll get to him because he's gone in the big freeze and he's raised money, so he's done a great job, but he's a dickhead. And I've just had enough of him, and it's only him, saying, this is about me, I'm going to make a call and I'm going to get a highlight reel as an umpire. It's ridiculous. Umpire your 300 games, umpire your 400 games. Just do a good job and try and make the right calls. Don't make it about you, and don't ruin games of footy.
Jeez. Throw down the hammer, Pez. A little bit, can hear the frustration in your voice there, Pez. Don't like Razor Ray.
No, God, don't like that I know his name. Why should I know his name?
You should only know Jesse, mate, our mate, the goal umpire, who's dropped the ball.
Goal umpire's a different story.
He's dropped the ball a little bit. We can name 2 or 3 goal umpires, actually. All right, speaking of people that made the goal umpires work, normally Fremantle have been very inaccurate this year. They started the game much the same, but it was Fremantle taking on Gold Coast, and they get the job done pretty convincingly in the end after a bit of a struggle early on. It was a bit of a boring game, Pez. A little bit hard to watch. The Gold Coast Suns seemed very on top of Fremantle early.
Dominated.
They were dominating early and just could not get a score on the board in that opening quarter. And probably, if they'd taken the lead into that first quarter, they probably get the job done or a little bit more competitive. But again, disappointing from the Gold Coast Suns.
The big issue was that second quarter for Gold Coast, because they absolutely dominated, most of the time spent inside their forward half, and it was thanks to Fremantle's kicking. Fremantle's kicking was atrocious coming off halfback, and they just turned the ball over time after time. Gold Coast would go down there, either turn the ball over inside 50 or kick it behind. Some shots were very, very simple. 1 goal 8 up until halftime, and you thought halftime's come, that's it. For the Gold Coast Suns, they're not going anymore. Third quarter comes out and it was a different story. It was 22-14 at halftime. Source, no scores, like a low scoring game. Fremantle come out and kick 6 goals in the third quarter, and Gold Coast miraculously kick 4 goals, 1 instead of the 5 behinds that they kicked in the second quarter. So different game if Gold Coast actually convert their chances in that first quarter, because they would have kept going with that momentum. Pile on 2, 3, 4 goals, have a 3-goal lead at halftime. It's a different ball game in the second half. But credit to Fremantle, they were able to put that, one of the worst quarters I've seen a team play of footy in that second quarter. They were able to put it behind them and dominate Gold Coast in the end and have a comfortable win.
Yeah, David Mundy was instrumental in that third quarter. Father time, mate. He's like a fine wine. He's getting older every day, obviously, like we all are, but he's getting better with age. He had 5 clearances and 8 disposals, and he really, inspired that 6-goal quarter that you talk about. And to take a 21-point lead into that fourth quarter, they just turned it on, and it's really disappointing that Gold Coast again have let themselves kick themselves out of a game. We've seen it, they're bringing the effort. Will Power's fantastic. He had 26 and 8, rebound 50s. Took Miller was, his usual self, 31. Brendan Ellis was fantastic. They got all these names, but, King was unable to convert. He was, no goals too. But if he kicks a couple of those goals, they're back in this game. Really disappointing.
And Alex Pearce, really good performance. Last time we saw him on the footy field, he got injured and we thought his career might be over because he's a very injury-prone player, but he got through the game, kept King goalless as well. I was pretty impressed because Taberner wasn't playing, Nat Fyfe wasn't playing Sauce, so Fremantle get over the line was really good. Tracy up forward, he kicked 2 goals, 3, but he was super impressive. He was the target up forward. He was taking good marks, clunking it, so maybe a good find. You can't go off one quarter of footy and things like that. But he has been impressive in patches this year. So one to watch for the listeners upcoming.
100%, Pez. A small sample size, as you said, but what was impressive for Fremantle was just the over-possession of the ball. They always were moving the ball forward. They won the possession count, not that disposals are always an indicator of the game, but they won them by over 80 disposals, keeping control of that foot and making Gold Coast really earn any opportunities they had after they, as I said, they dominated that first half of footy. So, yeah, a bit disappointing for the Gold Coast. Fremantle make another win and keep their finals hope alive, Pez.
Yeah, a couple of things you said there. A bit disappointing and a big first half lead. That sums up the next game, doesn't it?
I didn't say lead, Pez. I didn't say big half lead. I'm going to give my really short synopsis here because I heard you get angry at Razor Ray. I cannot wait to hear about this. This was an absolute disgrace from St Kilda. They led at one point in the third quarter by 36 points. The game was done and dusted, and they let a first-year player and Adelaide, one of the worst teams in the league, pile on 7 goals. And they scored 6 points for the second half of football. It was pretty disgusting, Pez.
It's no good. We were 8 goals 6 when they kicked that first goal in the third quarter, Sauce, and then 6 behinds for the rest of the game. So 1 goal 6 in that second half for St Kilda was not too good. They started off 4 goals 3, didn't take the opportunities, but it was 27-0. And the commentators, all they could say is, will they keep a team to 0 points for a whole half? It ended up being a 5-goal lead at halftime. 36-point lead, as you said, when Brad Crouch kicked that goal in the third quarter. But I don't even know what happened. Sitting there on the couch, watching the footy up in Cairns, which isn't a great watch because it's got a lot of dew on the ground and it was a really poor game of footy. You're not going to blame the weather, though. Probably just blame the two teams. And Adelaide to kick 7 goals in a row. They kicked 7-6 themselves. Phil Thorpe, the free kick was probably controversial, Sauce. The second last goal he kicked on the line. We don't know what that free kick was for, and neither do the commentators. But he got the free kick, kicked the goal, and they still had to kick another one to win the game. From the top of the goal square, I don't know how he got the ball, kicked it over his head. The ball lands in the goal square with 15 players around the footy, Sauce. I don't know how no one even ran for the ball and tried to touch it through. So they got the thing. Hopefully it puts a stick up St Kilda to say, let's review this and see what's actually gone wrong and what's happening. And I know they've got a lot of players on the injury list, but to be 36 points up against the Adelaide Crows team, you're not playing against Richmond, you're not playing against one of the top teams. You're playing against Adelaide, 36 points up, you're at Cairns, it's dewy, there's no free-flowing footy. You can lock it down, you can do whatever. They just didn't do it. They didn't take care of business, and they've given up leads, 36-point leads to be exact, over the last couple of seasons. So it is very concerning for St Kilda Footy Club.
Well, it's not even concerning just this result, Pez. Obviously, it's really concerning when a team gives up a massive lead and you have a big comeback. For me, it's unacceptable. Is the expectations that we had for St Kilda and what they're actually displayed on the film on the field? They've won 19 quarters this year. I think about that. A team that finished in, 2 wins away from a grand final, 1 win away from a grand final, realistically, or from playing off for a grand final. 19 quarters this year they've won. North's won 17. It's. I know that they've had a lot of injuries, but it's extremely unacceptable. What's gone wrong from last year and the expectations? People had them top 4. We both had them in the top 8. They were up and they had a fast brand of football last year. They were exciting to watch. They were, they haven't changed anything. They're just terrible users of the football all the time, and the decision making. And it's not the first time they've thrown away a decent sort of lead this season.
They've got too many passengers. They've got so many players who either don't have a role or don't know what they're doing. Their entry inside forward 50 is atrocious. They're going mostly after Jack Higgins, who's marking it on his chest from 40 out. Wasn't able to convert on the weekend, but Max King, you feel like he's not getting used. He needs to get on his bike, get up the ground, get involved in the game. Like he didn't touch the footy in the first quarter until the end at the siren when he got the mark and the kick for goal. But he's not doing enough. I know he's only 20 years old, Source, just nearly 21 years old. So he's got a bit of time to develop. But the pressure that's coming on him now because of what this team has done in the past and what they're doing is not good for him and his state, his goal kicking, all of that stuff. And no Tim Membry on the weekend, no Seb Ross, no Rowan Marshall, but there's no excuse when you're 36 points up, because you were 36 points up without all those players. So you insert those players, you might not be 36 points up. You don't know what's going to happen. But just for Saints fans everywhere, I'm on all the media pages on the socials, and every single week it's the same bullshit where they're going on and they're blaming all the players and they're having goes at this, having go at that. Like, what are you meant to do? You can't do anything about it. Like the players just have to continue to work hard, and it's the same message every week from the coach. But you'd think after a 75-point loss to Essendon earlier in the season, that would have put fire up their ass, but it hasn't.
Okay, so is this the week where they drop all the players? Like they've been talking about it for weeks now, and then they're continually using they're continually using injuries as a bit of an excuse, but I know that they were out without Seb Ross, who decided to go home to help out with his twins.
Controversial there as well.
A little bit controversial depending on which side of the fence you sit on. It was an unideal situation for the AFL to, and for St Kilda to be put in that situation, not knowing where they were going to be playing up until a couple of days beforehand, the fly-in, fly-out aspect of things. But as you said, Pez, you're 36 points up, third quarter. Worst case scenario, in that, you still win that by by a goal. Worst case scenario, yeah, you should not lose that ever, especially against a team that you've held goalless till the 16 minutes of the second quarter. And it wasn't that they were, missed opportunities. They were held almost scoreless up until that point. And it's just St Kilda need to have something done. They're having an internal review. They're looking at doing an internal review. Jared Ruffhead was on Footy 3 AFL 360 during the week, and he was talking about that. And they're going to be part of this big review, but something needs to change, and it's interesting because next year for St Kilda fans, I know we're looking ahead now, where are they? Where the hell is St Kilda, this team that invested heavily in this year to put themselves in finals contention? Where the hell are they?
Their bottom six is not up to it.
Bottom six?
They don't have superstars like other clubs do. You got Jack Steele as your best player, who's he's a great player. He's not a superstar Brownlow medal contender type player. You've got these players coming in, and no fault of their own. Jack Loney, he should never play AFL again. And not just because of the weekend. It's the same crap for 3 years. He's a really good VFL player, Source. He's small in stature. He can't contest. He's got good pressure sometimes. But when we kick the ball, it's not his fault, because St Kilda kicked the ball to him up the line to a high marking contest about 5 times a game. And you can't be doing that because he's not going to win those contests. He needs to be at the feet and doing those things. But you've got players like Higgins and Billings who are up there as well, who are those small type forwards. Like, our forward structure is just no good at the moment. You've got some young players there that are going all right. Long was really fumbling on the weekend, but Dunstan as well. He's had a couple of gigs on Cunnington and then Sloane on the weekend. He had 26 disposals, 10 tackles, but I don't think he's up to AFL standard either. I think he's a VFL player. He gets 42 and kicks 2 in the VFL and comes into the AFL and butchers the ball. So there's a few things where the coaches or whatever, we need to make those list changes where we don't want, if we've got injuries, we don't want these players in. We want some younger players in to try and develop them, because these players here, they're not going to be in our next premiership side. They're not going to help us do anything. They're going to help us maybe compete in a couple of matches in round 13, round 14 of a season. What does it mean? Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and I guess St Kilda's been really lucky this year that the expectations have been sort of stifled a little bit by the injury count. But you make a really good point there, because the players who are getting games are not going to be in your next premiership, and you're breeding no talent from the lower end, from the younger end, because you've given away those draft picks thinking you're going to compete. And realistically, if this doesn't work in the next 3 or 4 years, if the trajectory at the moment continues, you're going to be bottom 4, the way that you're continually playing at the moment. If you have those injuries, you don't breed that young talent, then you're stuffed for the next 10 years. And St Kilda's back down to the bottom of the ladder, and you've got a Carlton situation. You know, I mean, you're very lucky that Carlton and Collingwood have been underperforming as much as they had. And, you know, you've got those injuries to sort of hide it. But really, really disappointing from St Kilda. And I'm sorry that we spent so much time on it, Pez. I know that's hard for you.
Not sorry to me. I'm sorry to the listeners.
I did check on the weekend for you. I messaged you saying, "Are you right, mate? You're alive?" Because I hadn't heard from you after the Saturday night. And I thought, I better just check in on you. But
that was not a good time.
No, but I knew that something would have got you going on that Sunday. And that was an absolute cracking game from your favourite team, Pez. You could be your second team. They're actually performing about the same as St Kilda.
Well, when they're playing Tasmania, how good are they?
How good are they?
28 points up at 3/4 time, and they could be my favourite team because they've given up a big lead.
They've given up a big lead. Well, we talk about North Melbourne playing GWS Giants, and as Pez said, they took a 28-point lead, very unprecedented for them going into a last quarter. But then they realised that they are going for bottom 2, bottom of the ladder, looking for draft picks. They are doing a rebuild properly. They were fantastic up until then, and then Toby Green went into the middle, Pez, and what an absolute legend he is. He won the ball. GWS probably should have won this game in the end, but absolute fantastic finish to escape with a draw, and GWS keep their finals hopes barely alive, and North Melbourne keep their bottom of the ladder finish alive.
Even though it's a draw, and you know everyone was really disappointed on field afterwards, North Melbourne will be happy with that, and it's not to say that a draw's good or anything, but they'd be happy with their performance. We know they fade out in games, and we know teams score heavily against them. So to give up a 28-point lead is not good. But as Jack Siebel said on the field, they've been through it before. Those senior players, now those younger players have gone through it. They'll learn from that, okay, and they'll continue to go. You look at the GWS side. There's not many positives out of that.
No.
To be able to be 28 points down against the worst side of the last 20 years, the worst list of the last 20 years, that's unacceptable. If you were actually, they were on a streak, yeah? They were going good. They'd won, 5 out of the last 6 or something like that.
They're looking good.
And they were looking at actually competing for finals, and Leanne Cameron is going to save his job. And then they go and they perform like that, do that. What, they just flick a switch like Richmond do, and they're not Richmond.
They haven't got that much talent.
They don't have the pedigree. They can't just flick the switch and go, all right, we're going to play for 15 minutes and we're going to win the game. They drew. If they had got over the line and won, it might not have been the best thing for them, Source, because they do need to learn from this. A loss would have been much better, but it's just disappointing for the Giants fans.
We say this all the time with the Giants, Pez. We say that the talent, we say that it would have been better. Oh, this was a good loss for them because now they'll go back and think about it. This was disgusting for them. Like the only person that showed up was Nick Haynes and Josh Kelly was gallant in a lot of his efforts, getting a whole lot of the pill, but he was in no way a game match winner. This is where you needed Taranto to display the form he's over been the last month. There were players there that really just were disappointing. So Tim Taranto was one of them. Hopper was disappointing. Whitfield basically got shut out of the game, and these are the players. And again, the talent on them, it just oozes talent. It's disappointing that they've come. It's actually not even disappointing anymore, Pez. It's standard for GWS to underperform with all the talent they've got there and give away a valuable 2 points. That's probably going to cost them in the end, because we know that when they get to September, they can be damaging, and they've got the list there to do it. But let's be honest. Let's not take anything away from North Melbourne. They were fantastic in this effort, and they have been building towards this for a couple of weeks, and it was great experience for some of the young guys. But GWS, we can't keep hoping on this, Pez, but it was shit house for them.
Yeah, they're shit. As I said, it's not good for them. You can't look at any positives from it. Aren't North Melbourne lucky they got Todd Goldstein still, because he's still an absolute star and around the ground. I think he plays better when he's in Tasmania, to be honest. He's played some really big games in Tasmania against some other big ruckmans. So, well done to North. I think North fans is it still going to be disappointed with the draw.
Of course,
you're still going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I was watching it with my old man, and he was really disappointed because they had a nice lead, and as you said, they were inexperienced, they were young, and they made the mistakes you expect a team to do in that situation. So it's frustrating for them because they had a rough 2 years. 3 years
and
4 years.
They might keep going, but we'll go from there. The next game was my favourite game of the round. Source. We had West Coast take on Richmond, And right down to the last couple of minutes, West Coast able to steal it at the end. You didn't think it was going to happen, did you?
No, you really didn't. You thought when Richmond sort of jumped ahead in that fourth quarter, you thought it was pretty much done and dusted, and you thought that Richmond were going to do Richmond things similar to what they did to Essendon in that last quarter a couple of weeks ago for the Dreamtime game where they dismantled them. But West Coast were, they had their backs to the wall. They had a couple of nice ins. Elliot Yeo was fantastic in that last
Beast.
in that last quarter. He had 10 disposals, 7 clearances, and 8 inside 50s for the quarter, which really propelled them into a spot to win it. And round the body, the banana, Kennedy. What a kick. What a celebration. And some amazing images coming out of there. Liam Ryan, his celebration for Kennedy's goal was second to none. And his pickup in that last quarter to get the ball down there, oh my God, is he great to watch. Even when he's not kicking the ball, like kicking goals, when he's not marking up high.
It's just beautiful.
He's an elite user of the footy. And that pickup, unbelievable.
It's a disappointing kick. Only went 14.5 metres, Source, on the measuring tape.
Hey, don't talk to me about kicks not being going the journey, mate. They're talking about 4 points going the wrong place. But disappointing for Richmond. Not even disappointing. It was a great game of footy. They should have, done what Richmond do. That premiership pedigree where they just get the job done. But a brave effort from West Coast in front of the SBS crowd, and they need to make sure they bank those wins because could have been panic stations if they went 2 in a row at West Coast losing.
No, I think it was. I think it was a very important game for Richmond to actually hold on and win there because they find themselves a game and percentage outside of the top 4. You'd want to win. We know they're probably one of the teams that can win it outside the top 4, Source, but you'd want to get into the top 4 in the first place. So a player that really impresses me and impresses me all the time for West Coast, I don't know where they find these guys. Tom Barrass, his intercept marking and just his one-on-one defence is just elite. And I'm thinking to myself, why can't my club pick up guys like this? Pick up him, pick up a forward that can snag goals and kick goals like Cozzy Pickett. Why can't other teams just go and do this? West Coast seem to find it. They've got Jack Darling, who's been down on form over the past couple of weeks, Source. I think he's one of the best contested marks in the comp. You got Josh Kennedy, who people are saying, he's too old, he's going to retire. Look what he's come out and done on the weekend. You've got Oscar Allen, who goes forward and plays back. He's a young forward. They've got a really good midfield. If they get their injuries right as well and they can win a few more games, they're dangerous.
Especially with a home ground like SBS Stadium. They've got the pedigree of the premiership experience. They snagged one probably ahead of the timeline that they were probably projected. And Pez, you're right. They're not an old team. They seem to keep finding guys to slot into to just do the right things, do the club thing, and they just get the job done. I had my doubts about them this year, but Pez, big win for West Coast for them. Let's not take anything away from West Coast coming from behind again and snagging a really important victory for the club. Massive
win for West Coast. They a couple of games clear from Fremantle in that 9th position now, so it would be very disappointing if they collapsed and didn't make finals this year. So we should see West Coast in there. They should now fight for at least 5th or 6th to at least get one of those home finals and get that massive crowd over there. It's great to watch footy over there, isn't it? On the TV. I'd love to go to that stadium pretty soon if we have again with this COVID crap.
As long as it's not grand final day, Pez. Let's keep that in Melbourne. But you're right, it's an absolute spectacle, that ground. Speaking of absolute spectacles, we had the big freeze on the Queen's birthday. Done a little different this year, raised a lot of money, and it was still fantastic. But the big story from the day is Collingwood. Nathan Buckley has to be I don't want to say if I say unlucky, but I can't tell a coach ever that's won back-to-back games. He's on a winning streak, and he's not going to be coaching next week. It's not because of the bye.
Because he wanted to save face, mate. That's what's happening. He's looking at his future and what's going to happen. He's being celebrated. Usually when you get sacked, Source, it's because you're down the bottom of the ladder like Collingwood.
He didn't get sacked, Pez. He didn't get sacked.
Oh, he didn't get sacked.
He stepped down. He
didn't get the tap on the shoulder.
The imaginary tap on the shoulder didn't happen. It was his decision.
That's ridiculous. Of course he got sacked. They're down the bottom of the ladder. But Collingwood fans wanted him gone, and now that he's won a couple of games, they want him to stay. Like it's really hit and miss with what you hear in the media and on social media and things like that. Collingwood had a fantastic performance, led by Jordan De Goey in that first half. He had 20 disposals. He had around 3 goal assists in that first half, just off his own boot. Couldn't get hit the scoreboard and wasn't amazing in that second half. So he wasn't in competition for the medal or anything like that. But they had Pendlebury, who was really impressive, and Braden Maynard in defence. Some days he kicks, some days he can't. And this day he could. He had 26 kicks. He's rough as guts. He goes hard at the footy, and he took some really good marks as well, and defensive marks that stopped Melbourne's run.
Yeah, interesting game for Melbourne fans as well watching this. They couldn't do anything right, Pez, and it's hard coming up against a team that you should beat. You've been touted the best team in the league, premiership favourites, sports best paid out on you. You were impressive against Richmond, and then you come up in really disappointing fashion against a Collingwood side that realistically they're not playing for anything, Pez. This would have been a really big test for Melbourne, and once again, big stage, big expectation, they disappoint. It was only last week, Pez, that we said we had to believe in them. And what happens this week? They throw away an absolutely pretty putrid performance. And
the two games they've lost, Adelaide and Collingwood.
It's disgusting, Pez. And I got an interesting text during the week about some of the actual players that they have. They're just uninspiring. Oliver was basically no impact in the game. He was a person who gets a hell of a lot of the ball when they're winning. But when the ball needs to be won and he needs to go out there and get it, just couldn't get the job done. Petrarca, they're flat track bullies, Pez. They only beat up on the teams that they once they get a commanding lead, and then when they come up against a side that they should beat, they are the arrogance and the inexperience, and it
has to be something like that, doesn't it?
That's the only thing you can put it down to.
Well, when a coach gets sacked, and I don't know the stats around it, Source, but when they come out and they win for their coach in the last game, that's kind of what it was. The miracle over there was up at the SCG. But the big news from the day is a lot of money raised for Fight MND and Neil Danaher doing a great job down there, and the Danaher family and all the Sliders. Congratulations to them for doing it for charity and getting in the icy cold water. One of my favourites from the day, he wasn't there. It was Craig Bellamy, the Storm coach. He was in a Elsa costume, the dress, and he was up in Queensland, and they put the ice buckets over him, and everyone gets around it. And Neil Danaher, what a man.
What a man, Pez. But a bit disappointed that you put him as the winner of the costume. I thought it would have been the VBs. You enjoyed Billy's. Billy Brownless's budgie smugglers and the VBs on display.
But no, I didn't, because what, is he getting paid for that little sponsorship there?
No way. No, he just loves a froth. Big old Billy loves a froth.
Does
there,
he?
Pez.
Yeah, you know what I was disappointed with Billy, and the reason I didn't choose Billy is because I thought he would go down the slide with a froth in his hand.
Yeah, probably would have lost the AFL some sponsorship there, Pez, if he'd gone about that. But Pez, Robert Harvey takes over the Collingwood Magpies for the time being, and he's probably, his job's been made 100% easier because he doesn't have that big, conundrum of where to play Darcy Moore, because Darcy Moore is out for the season with a pretty horrible knee injury, which will one of the positives this year was when he was playing down back, and Bucks tried to experiment and put him up forward, but Robert Harvey doesn't have that conundrum.
Well, we'll see how Robert Harvey goes. He wants to be a career coach. He's
good opportunity.
He's applied for a couple of gigs in the past and hasn't got them. So good. I don't know, what is it?
Good luck.
Good luck. He's a champion of St Kilda, and I loved him growing up. And it's already hurts to see him in Collingwood colours, and now to see him as the head coach,
it doesn't look right, does it?
It's not right at all. You see it Geelong when they've got who they got, Corey Enright and all those blokes still at the club, and Scarlett and all them. Yeah.
All right, speaking of things that look good, Pez, let's get into our bet review for this week.
Soft review. It's no official review. How does it end? We don't know. They've kind of lost, but they've won as well.
It's looking good. You think it's looking good. We've just rambled on about the round of footy, didn't we?
It was a big round of footy, Pez.
A lot of things to talk about there. So getting into our review, we've got the emojis up on Twitter at Behind the Bounce. So you've got to get around them. We'll go through the games as it was. My bet slip wasn't too good this week, Source.
It was about the same as mine, Pez. So I do appreciate that you've got the hard hat hard hat on from your big fall from the top of the building?
No. So that's a
hard hat.
Yep, he's a bricklayer.
No, because you fell from 15% last week to 9%.
Yeah,
so that's
so I've got to build my hotel back up.
No,
and
with all the talk about
going.
head injuries this week, it's good to see you protected from the big
Go
fall
on,
there,
safety.
Pez. I'm a bit disappointed that I don't even know if I'm on an island anymore, Pez. You didn't get the emoji with the water.
Well, you had the water last week when you were over 5%. You've lost the sand, and
so I've
you've
gotten
just got
further
the
on the
umbrella.
beach. Just got the umbrella.
I don't know what you're doing. Are you in the water?
I'm sneaking around back. That's what it is. I'm sneaking around back.
You know
I'm
what it
about
is?
to climb up.
You have no idea where you are at plus
got no idea.
1.81%. You don't know if you're on the beach, off the beach, but try and make your way into that for you, mate. I'll try and rebuild it this week and get back over 10%.
Just make sure that you haven't got a concussion, Pez, and you know where the door is, because I'm definitely coming for you. And I thought I was coming for you last week when I started off within the first minute of the game. I was already up $50 with Geelong kicking the first goal of the game in the first 2 minutes. Sports bets paying out on that, but they went on to win anyway. $50 at $2. Thank you very much. And that's all I'm going to talk about for the round.
Yeah, which helped me because I had my $50 bonus bet on that game, a same game multi of Geelong head-to-head and Cameron to kick a goal. So that saluted, and I was $50 in profit after that Thursday night. So that was going real well. Until the next day, my first original bet, Chad Warner was laid out, so he didn't get in the side. So my bet was void, and I decided to put on a cheeky live bet with Sydney minus 29.5, and we know that Hawthorn won by 38 points, so that didn't work out very well, and the overs went under, so no bonus bet or anything from that for me.
No, a bit disappointing for you, Pez. I went into the Sydney Hawthorn game and thought it was looking pretty good. Lost in the first quarter when Sydney went down and continued to lose for the rest of the game. Jake Lloyd didn't get 25. Isaac Tahini didn't kick 2 goals. So 0 for 3 in that one. It was looking good.
Jeez, mate, I'll tell you, my cheeky would have been handy this week to get up. I was 3 from 4. I had Fremantle head-to-head, which got up. Luke Ryan to get 20. Swallow to get 20, got up easily. I had the overs, the over 158.5, and it was no good source because they scored 36 points combined in the first half, so that was already over at the start. So I'll just get a bonus bet for this week.
A bonus bet, my bonus bet I put on not the next game, Pez, the Dockers Suns. I didn't have a bet for that one, but I put on the next game after that, and really, really, really disappointed because at three-quarter time I was looking pretty good. Max King to kick 2 or more goals and St Kilda 40 plus for a nice little profit of 175, but we all know how that unfolded.
Yeah, well, when Brad Crouch put him 36 points up, Max King had already kicked 2. You were laughing there.
Laughing.
I had St Kilda head-to-head, Brad Crouch, 25 or more disposals. Higgins, anytime goal scorer. Higgins went 0-2. He's continuing his goal-kicking form. I backed him in after the Sydney game and it didn't work, and St Kilda couldn't get the job done anyway, so not even a bonus. I had the max on that and didn't return the 143 like I planned.
Very annoying, Pez. We get on to the next game, which was the North Melbourne versus Giants game. I escaped with a bonus bet from that one. I had Toby Green to get 15. He did that pretty easy. Hayes to get 15. He had number 22. Tarano to get 25. He got that. But Lockie Whitfield was a bit disappointing, over 27.8. Nothing.
He was really quiet, wasn't he?
He was very quiet, and I thought that was the shoe-in for it, and I was a little bit annoyed because I was tossing up between him and Josh Kelly, similar sort of lines, and I thought, you know what, Lockie Whitfield will have a big one. Not to be. Well,
I had absolutely no chance because I had Greater Western Sydney to lead at half time and three-quarter time, so no good. And I had them at the line at 24.5. Pretty confident in their form they could get the job done against North, but 28 points down at three-quarter time, no good there.
No good. And it continued with me, Pez, because in that fourth quarter was looking good. The tail of the fourth quarters for me, because a couple of my bets were looking good last week, and then get to the fourth quarter and disappointing. I had Richmond 1-39, and we all know how that unfolded as well. Kennedy snagging a beautiful goal. You don't mind losing the bet with some artistry like that, Pez. So I lost 25 for that. Bit disappointing, but
a bit unlucky.
Great goal, great game, and that's what we love about footy.
That's what you got to be able to take. And the next day, is that a bit of an omen, what you're going to do? Just bet on the first 3 quarters of the game and not worry about the last?
I might have to start doing that.
You just got to start going to bed early, turn the TV off three-quarter time.
Just like your
sleep
Saints,
like a baby.
Like your Saints,
yeah. Melbourne versus Collingwood, I had Cozzy Pickett to kick 2 or more goals and anytime goal scorer, no good. Melbourne didn't win, so 25 gone again.
I put my bonus bet for that one and absolutely balls it up. Clayton Oliver didn't get close to most disposals. Alex Neil-Bullen got his 15 because Pickett didn't kick a goal. Petrarca didn't kick a goal, so lost that bonus.
Yeah, well done.
For that game.
That was real
terrible.
good. Just like my multi, Sydney minus 12.5 already lost then. St Kilda minus 9.5, looking real good in that third quarter when they're up by 36 points, and that's no good. And GWS minus 5.5, still couldn't get the job done. So 0 from 3 in my multi.
Mine was 50% multi-pairs. Geelong, St Kilda, Richmond and Melbourne. St Kilda and Melbourne, the two teams that I thought were probably the guarantees of them, let me down. So the Richmond game,
didn't
or the
win
Richmond
either.
was 50-50 that one.
So what were you, 1 for 4 there?
Yeah, one for 4, yeah.
And it should have been at least 3 for 4.
3 for 4.
And then Melbourne disappoint you on the last day.
It should have been 4 for 4. That's a winning bet.
No, it's not a winning bet. There's a cross.
That's a winning bet.
3 of the teams lost.
As you said, if three of those quarters were done,
Not in the Melbourne game. Not in the Melbourne game. So for the season, or for the round source, I staked 160. Only returned $50. So a poor round there, minus 68.75. I can't say the same for a poor season because I staked $2,435, returned $2,671.95 for a return on investment 9.73%, dropped under the 10% for the first time in months.
First time in months, Pez. That's heartbreaking for you. I staked 175 for the round, thanks to a live bet that was a waste of time. Returned $100, so an ROI of minus 42.85% for the season. A little disappointing, but I am coming closer to that little establishment that you're building on that island, Pez. $2,250 staked for the year, returned $2,290.74. An amazing ROI of 1.81%, Pez.
I've got a reason why my bet slip was so poor. I was actually on the buy this week. That was my turn to be on the buy. So I'm back and ready to go for round 14.
Yeah, we'll see how that unfolds, Pez.
The fact that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Now Bex with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And I said,
Oh, yes! Yes! Yes!
Big call there, Pez, coming into the round, looking for something special, but something that we can guarantee is the sports, or not just the sports bet, but the specials for the round.
Cyril takes a special and goes bang.
Before I get into the specials, Finster didn't come on last week. He should have come on this week as well. But if you have a look at my beer fridge there, I've got a little magnet on it. Jimmy Brings. You heard about this company?
No.
So Jimmy Brings.
Are they a sponsor of the podcast?
No, they might be, but they've put a couple of magnets in my letterbox source. So I've got it out, put it on the fridge. Went to log in and download the app today. It says wine, beer and spirits in 30 minutes. They put it in my letterbox where I live. Downloaded the app. They said, sorry, we're not in your area yet.
Nothing special about that, Pez. It's like points bet a bit.
What's going on there? I'm not happy with that. But the specials for this week, I could just...
Interesting segue there, Pez.
Interesting. I could just say the same as last week, pretty much. Goal in first 2 minutes for the Geelong Western Bulldogs game and you win. Source, you took advantage of that last week. We don't usually like that special, but there we go. All matches this round, 3+ leg AFL same game multi, up to 3 refunds per match. All matches this round, 3 leg head-to-head AFL multi, and 1 loses, you get a bonus back. Move over to tab, you've got 2 games with the same game multi special, Geelong Bulldogs and Hawthorn Essendon. You've also got the head-to-head special, the same as sports bet there. Head over to lads, you've got the $2 lines for Geelong versus Western Bulldogs. Neds have the Geelong versus Western Bulldogs same game multi, and we don't need to speak about points bet, so there you go.
There we go, Pez. Get into the blockbuster this Friday night. There'll be 7,000 people at this game, Pez. More than a North Melbourne game. So Geelong taking on Western Bulldogs. Geelong are heavy favourites. $1.62. $2.31 for the outsiders in the Bulldogs. The line is minus North, 7.5. Don't be so rude and talk through mine, mate. I let you rave on about Jimmy brings alcohol.
He doesn't bring it. He's not available.
I'm going to take your magnet and see if he brings it in my area. All right. But speaking of teams that do need to bring it, the Western Bulldogs are the outsiders at $2.31. The line is minus 7.5. The over-under is 150.5 Pez. And I'm paying out on the Bulldogs because I'm just upset that... not the Bulldogs, sorry, on North Melbourne, because I'm upset at the AFL for one, not moving them to Tasmania and keeping football alive and giving Tasmania a football side. I'm upset at the AFL for allowing 7,000 fans at this game to only people in those areas, in the Geelong area.
You want to go, yeah?
I want to go. I want to go to the football. I've paid my membership. I want to go to the football, and it's disappointing that we're allowed to go to everything else. We're allowed to do other stuff, but I can't go to a regional area where there's been no COVID cases. It just shits me.
I was not happy about
I'm
that.
not happy. I was looking forward to Friday night footy, and I can't go.
Well, hopefully your bet slip's a little bit better than your attitude at the moment. But I think Geelong can get the chocolates just because it's down at GMHBA. It'll be interesting with only 7,000 people there. The Dogs haven't been too impressive in recent weeks in terms of their performance. So Geelong, I think Jeremy Cameron has been inserted and changed that team profusely. Cameron Guthrie comes back in this week. Dangerfield, a game under his belt last week as well. They had an interesting travel schedule last week when they were sleeping in the bright lights.
Sleeping in the bright lights. Jeremy Cameron was sleeping under one of those card tables and the boys had to wake him up a couple of hours before.
It's grouse, isn't it? Just there ready to go. But yeah, into $1.62. What I've done, sources, I'll put a same game multi on over at Ned's, so I get the special if 2 win and 1 loses. I've got Geelong head to head. I've got Geelong alternate line plus 36.5. That's just for insurance. And then Geelong at the line at $2 minus 7.5 by itself. So it's minus 7.5 by itself. This multi that I've got is $2 as well. So still the same price, but I've put those 2 other legs in because if Geelong win but don't win by 7.5, I get the bonus bet back.
It's a good little thinking there, Pez. And you've got 10 cents up on a guaranteed 7.5 line. So that's pretty decent. I've gone with a 3-leg same game multi. I agree with you, Pez. I think that line is a great little line of 7.5, especially in Geelong. I've gone with Tom Stewart to get 20. He does that every week, and I don't know how he's still sitting at $1.33 to get 20, especially with the brand of football that Geelong play. Really anchoring it from their back line. Quite often he kicks the ball in. Jump on him, and I've gone anytime goal scorer Tom Hawkins, $1.12 for him to kick a goal, which is incredible odds now that most people are sitting at $1 to kick a goal, and there's 22 blokes sitting at $1 most weeks. So $1.12 is good little value just to bump it up. $2.70, and I've whacked 25 on that one, Pez.
Well, good luck with that. What milestone do you reckon Lockie Hunter's playing? How many games do you reckon he's played?
Oh,
What milestone? You've got a couple of guesses.
50?
150. 150
Really?
this week. Yep. There you go.
There you go.
We get into the next game, Gold Coast versus Port Adelaide.
Yeah, we do. Gold Coast.
A couple more of those pearlers for you.
There we go. Gold Coast versus Port Adelaide. This one it has the Suns as outsiders, $2.84. Port Adelaide after a disappointing home game last week, $1.43. The line is 14.5, favouring the Power. The over-under is 154.5, Pez. What are you doing with this one?
Yeah, well, this one's a bit interesting. You've got Sam Collins, who's coming back into the side, and Sam Day, so that's big for Gold Coast. Lionheart and Lysette come back in for Port Adelaide with Woodcock and I was just going to say Boner, but Woodcock and Boner out. So there you go, 2 omissions there. Todd Marshall is injured, which is not very good. I've just gone to 50 straight up on this source with the Port Adelaide Suns in Queensland at Metricon, minus 14.5. I think the line's a little bit too low. I would have had it around 18.5, 19.5. So I've just whacked the max on that, thinking that they'll beat up on a poorer side.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the line here in this one, 14.5, is very enticing. I've gone with a 3-leg same game multi. I've gone Peter Laddens to get 15 or more. He's been averaging 20. The Gold Coast don't have a ruck, so he's going to get, probably split 50-50 in those ruck duels. He'll probably get a lot more of the ball. Brendan Ellis, 20 or more. He does that most weeks, especially with the ball being down into Port Adelaide's attacking half for a lot of the game. And Carl Amon to get 20. That gives me odds of $2.40. I've put 25 on it though, Pez. I've got something a little bit extra for you, Pez. Got something a little bit extra for you. I have put money down on this, Pez, and I don't know if you want to put this to my winnings or not, but this is the Finster special. And we can put it out to our supporter base there. He messaged me during the week and he said, you can whack this one in for money for VBs. So we might get a Finster count for money for VBs.
What, so anyone can just message in and be involved in the pod now?
I didn't mind it. He is one of the fans of the show, and I thought since you were using him and you were...
I'm not using him. He's not
used
even
him 2 weeks ago for the specials. And
he's not even coming in.
Right, so he's gone Charlie Dixon 2 or more goals, George Yalis for 2 or more goals, and Port Adelaide halftime leader gives you money of $4. Right, and I've put $16 on it because that's all that was left on my account after I withdrew it. So let's see how that goes. Money for VBs. So
that's an interesting money for VBs. Finster.
So that's what I thought.
2 goals and 2 goals for those big
2 and 2.
Robbie Gray. What milestone is he playing?
200.
No, 250. Source, he's 0 for 2.
0 for 2. Well, you can
couple more this week. Don't you cheat.
How am I going to cheat? I do everything else for the show. I can't.
Don't you cheat.
I'm never going to cheat, Pez. All right, North Melbourne taking on Brisbane. North Melbourne are outsiders, $5.50. Brisbane, the $1.15 favourites. The line is 34.5, over under 171.5.
Yeah, this one is pretty interesting. Luke McDonald coming back in. Hopefully he doesn't get injured again. And Zorko's going out with that suspension, and also Ryan Lester's injured as well for Brisbane Lions down in Tassie. So North are enjoying it down there. You stay down there, COVID-free and playing good footy. But I think hopefully the day's good. The last couple of games I've watched in Tasmania have actually been good weather source and not as windy, so that's really good. I think Eric Hipwood's due. And Eric Hipwood pops up now and then and kicks a bag of goals, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's kicked one in the last 5. I know that.
Yeah, well, that's why he's going to pop up now. I think they'll use him against North on the weekend, and I've put my $10 bonus, my cheeky. I'll get you to press the button there, Sauce.
Cheeky.
Hey, that's a new cheeky.
Hey,
look at that.
A little bit of a wind-up.
Wind up because Eric Hipwood's going to have to wind up because it's a bonus bet on him to score five or more goals.
It would score 5 or more.
$12.
That's not bad, actually.
There we
Not
go.
bad. It is going to be wet in Tassie. It is going to be a little bit wet down there. So that will be interesting.
Off the ground in the goal square.
Oh, perfect. I've gone with a 6-leg multi here, Pez, and I've gone with
How are we going to fit that on the bet slip?
Yeah, well, good luck to you.
Selfish.
McCullough used to get kicked. I was about to say McCullough used to
That's
kick 25. McCullough used to get 25 more disposals. Zach Bailey to get 15. And then over the last 5 weeks, all of these blokes have goaled in the last 5 games. So Hipwood, Cameron, Danaher, and Bailey all to score a goal. That gives me odds of $3.60, and I've put 15 on that one.
Yeah, good luck getting Hipwood to score a goal.
Why?
He's probably not going to score a goal. I'll put him to kick 5. He's going to go no.
Yeah. Where's my milestone quiz for that one?
No milestone quiz.
Where's my quiz for that one?
Okay. How many? What game does this make North at Bloodstone Arena? How many?
Oh, I actually looked that up earlier today
Did
because
you?
I was looking at that. They've played 27.
Oh, you're close.
Yeah.
Yeah, 28.
20. Oh, damn. I didn't include last week's. Must have been outdated stats. All right, let's get into the next game. Great Western Sydney takes on Carlton. $1.60 favourites for the Giants. Somehow they still become favourites into games. Probably disappointing everyone again. Carlton, speaking of disappointing, $2.28, minus 8.5 in favour of the Giants. The over-under is 158.5.
Yeah, another one. A couple of big ins. Perryman, Phil Davis come in for the Giants. Fogarty comes back in for Carlton, which is pretty good. But Cottrell, disappointing, omitted. Mark Murphy omitted, so he's probably at the end of his career. And Jack Noons didn't even play last week as a Medi sub, and he's out on his ass as well. So everyone going on about him last year. Get that up, yeah. But GWS versus Carlton, this is a stay-away game from me, the Giants. I just don't know what to pick with them because sometimes they're on and sometimes they're not. Interesting to see if Toby Green can actually kick more than one goal and not kick his 1 goal 4, 1 goal 5 as he usually does. If he does that, they'll get over the line. At the other end as well, if Mackay can kick a bag, Carlton can probably still lose if he kicks a bag. He probably has to kick 7 or 8 for them to win.
Who knows with Carlton?
We'll see what happens. But I don't have a bet. Before you do your bet there, Sauce, Paddy Dow, milestone.
150.
No, 50. Paddy, you're shit at this.
Yeah, shocking. All right, for mine, I've gone, as you said, Pez, it's going to be too hard to pick a winner from this one because you don't know who's going to show up. But what you do know is there's some certain things in football that you know. Nick Haynes, he gets 15 every single week. Tim Taranto, he gets you 25. Josh Kelly, he gets you 25. And Toby Green. Right, hopefully what's happened, they do something similar to last week. They put him into that midfield later on in the game, like last quarter. He gets you 15 as well. That gets you odds of $2.80, and I've put 20 on that one, Pez.
Oh, Taranto. I don't know about the Taranto. Like,
Taranto.
26 last week?
Well, that's 25.
Not
That's more than
easily.
25.
Not easily.
I didn't say easily. I said
He gets it every week.
he's got it the last 5 weeks, Pez.
There you go. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, the stats to back you up. Let's see if the dollars back you up.
The dollars back me up. All right. Speaking of dollars, Hawthorn versus Essendon. The money is flying in for Hawthorn after their impressive win over Sydney. They started the week at almost $3, and they're down to $2.45 now. Essendon outsiders $1.56. The line is 11.5, and the over under is 176.5.
Yeah, this one's. I really don't know because it's at University of Tasmania Stadium down there. Hawthorn could have the advantage there. They lose Warple through suspension. Essendon lose Waterman, McGrath, Zaharakis, who wouldn't really matter. Ambrose has been admitted. Francis managed, and they bring in their extended bench for the Sunday. So I think Hawthorn have a bit of a chance. What's the line down to?
11.5.
11.5 now. All right, there you go. I've actually got no bet for this game per se in this one, but I think Hawthorn could have a bit of a chance. I would like that line to be out at 15.5 because I think Essendon are a very poor footy side.
I think that's a rubbish synopsis of the game, Pez. I think Essendon will be out for blood. They've been improving over the last couple of weeks, and they'll remember round one, Pez. They'll remember round one when they gave up a 36 St Kilda-like lead, and that's why I've gone a little bit.
Cheeky!
And 40 points, you are correct, Pez. That's exactly where I've gone with my bet. I reckon Essendon can get this done, 40 plus.
In Tasmania.
In Tasmania. Darcy Parish will get 35. Hale Hooker. He'll kick 2 or more. Don't worry, you don't need to say his name.
Kale Hooker for the listeners out there.
He'll kick 2 or more. That gets me odds of $9, and I chucked on a $25 bonus bet from the other week, Pez. So that's
See
that's
you
gonna
later,
be,
bonus bet.
See you later. Get your hand off it, Pez. All right, let's get into
before we
multis.
get into that, you've got one more chance to
here we
redeem
go.
yourself. Mason Redman.
100.
No, 50
50.
games.
I
Come
don't
on,
know.
Sauce. It's easy.
It's only easy for you, Pez.
Because I can see
Do
it.
you know what I was close to with? I was closest with how many times North Melbourne's played in Tasmania.
And you know what? I made that up.
No, you made the answer up.
Yeah, I didn't even look it up.
Oh, well, go through your multi, Pez, and I'll tell you how right I was. Go.
You tell me how right you were. My multi this week, just the 3 head-to-head special with Sportsbet. Geelong, Brisbane, Port Adelaide. Together, those 3, $2.66.
Well, Pez, I'm going for the rare 5-legger. All my tips correct after a shocking last week. I can't go one tip. I've gone for Geelong, Port, Brisbane, GWS, and Essendon. All to win. I've whacked 20 on that one, Pez, with odds of 667. One of those fails, Pez, and I will get my money back in a bonus. But don't worry about that because it's going to be all chocolates for me.
Oh, there you go. We need it after last week, and we got 5 games to try and redeem ourselves. You got that stat yet?
Yeah, I'm just getting it up right now, Pez. They've played 24 there. They've played 116, drawn 1, and lost 7. So pretty close for me, and you were terrible there.
How many did they play?
24.
I was close, wasn't I?
I was closer. I had 20.
Doesn't matter if you were close. I was the one making the question.
Yeah, but you made it up, and you made me look bad. And then I got excited when I was close.
And you were further away now that you've looked it up.
No, I was closer than you.
No, but you were further away than you were with my answer.
I was closer than you, though.
You're going to cut that out, I reckon.
Nah, no way. All right, let's get into our next segment, Pez, and our last one for the evening, coin costs.
It was a toss of the coin.
That 5 wins the toss.
Yes, it's been an unusual year for coin tosses.
Big time again!
Yeah, I'm not saying anything, Pez, because I stuffed up the intro, so I'm handballing it over to you.
I don't know what you do. You're tired, Sauce. You need to go to bed, I
I'm
reckon.
a little bit tired. It's been a big week.
No, 9:30 on a Thursday night.
Extremely busy.
Get to bed. 5 games to go through in the coin toss, Sauce, and you usually say the lines.
I do. I can continue to do that.
Can
if you want,
can
Pez.
you do that, or do you want me to take over?
Well, I can do it, Pez. All right. So the first one is Geelong, the doggies, minus 7.5 in favour of the Cats.
Yeah, you got to go with the bet there, the Cats.
Yep, me too. Gold Coast, Port Adelaide, minus 14.5 in.
Same thing, the bet.
Okay.
Port Adelaide.
Yep. Okay. Don't cut me off there. We want it to be quick and short, Pez, but not so much that we don't get
so
through.
I get told off every week, and now I'm too quick.
Oh, well, that's what your missus says. So, all right, Port Adelaide, minus 14.5. They are the team is the minus their Pez, and I'll be going with them as well. North Melbourne, Brisbane, minus 34.5 in favour of the Lions.
Well, when Hipwood kicks 5, Brisbane.
Yeah, I like that one as well. Let's go with the Lions. GWS versus Carlton, minus 8.5. Interested in this one.
GWS.
I'm going to go with GWS as well. Hawthorn, Essendon, the line. You wanted it at 15.5 Pez. It's still 11.5 5 minutes later. So are you going with the 11.5 in favour of Essendon?
Need 15. So I reckon it's going to be 12, 13 point win to Essendon. So I have to go Essendon.
Okay, well, I'll go Essendon too. And that's another week that I'll stay on top, Pez. So
Yeah,
you little
you've
ripper.
been doing that all year pretty much.
Staying on top of you, yeah, pretty much.
Copying. Yeah,
Just copying, get your hand
ridiculous.
out.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll do that. You got a coin toss for me this week or what, Sauce?
I do, Pez. This is better than my reading skills and my talking skills. University of Tasmania or Bloodstone, which is a better venue?
Couldn't care less. Keep your coin.
I'll donate it. Oh, Pez, it's way too late for this. What time? Tell us where everyone can get in contact and tell us to. We'll probably apply for our jobs, to be honest.
At Behind the Bound, especially you Tasmania listeners, get around and get down to those wonderful stadiums down in Tasmania this week and donate your coin somewhere. I don't know. Donate to charity or something. Best of luck in your punting and everything this week. I've been Pez. Peace out.
Oh, I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time.